What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you for tuning in. That is not Joe Beef. That is Carlo Lamagna and son. Carlo is the chef owner of Magna Kusina in Portland, Oregon. Carlo, thanks for taking some time.
Oh, of course, man. Anytime. You know how it is. Well, you got to make time.
Yep, you got the fam there. I hear my boys downstairs screaming right now. Mom's shushing and be like, "Dad's on his show. It's really important." And they could hear that.
My wife was like, "I'm late for work. You better get your shit together." I was like,
Let's go. I hear you, man. All right, I'm excited to talk with you. One of my favorite and early on episodes of the Best Surf podcast was with you, getting to talk with you, and for everybody, go to bestsurfpodcast.com and go check out the episode with Carlo Lamagna. It's awesome, just super heartfelt. The intensity that you have for your Filipino culture and the people that work with you is it's infectious. Kind of infectious that I like. I want to spread your positive, infectious attitude. We're taking those words, man, and we're going to own them.
I'll try.
So, let's take us back a little bit. You and I were talking a little bit about how when this first started, you guys, weren't sure what was happening. You jumped into doing to go, then you closed down. Now you're opening back up. I want to start with that because I want people to know they're about to get Magna Kusina food again. I need some of that chicken adobo. But take us back first, when you kind of are trying to communicate with your team about what's going to happen and jumping into curbside, all that.
So when all this started, when we first caught wind, when everything just started going downhill, I remember it was a Friday when all these chefs got together. There was like 60 of us. We all got together. This before any of the crazy stuff, any of the nutty things of like social distancing, all that stuff. So we all got together. We were like, how are we going to attack this coronavirus thing? How are we going to be affected by it? We don't know. We just don't know how. And dude, I remember coming back from that meeting super depressed.
Really?
Because it was hilarious because a buddy of mine was having a gathering at the restaurant. They were doing a luncheon at the restaurant, and I was at this meeting, and he wanted me to come and say some words at this meeting because it was a bunch of So he does a lot of does a lot of social justice work.
Okay.
So he's a community leader. So he brought all these other leaders together, kind of just to rap about other things, right? Anyway. Long story short, I walked into the luncheon after this meeting, and he asked me to say a few words about the restaurant, and I just lost it. Cried in the dining room in front of like 20 community leaders, interfaith community leaders, which was crazy. I was like, oh, shit. Like I couldn't hold it together. My staff was like, oh, things are getting pretty serious.
Real.
Yeah. So I had a conversation with him. We were like, we have to switch the model real quick. So we flipped it. Saturday service, we did Sunday brunch. We were done. That was our last day of full service. Monday off to kind of reconfigure. Tuesday right into to go. So we only had one day of a turnover, and this was right in the beginning of all this. Of all the shelter, not even shelter in place. They just canceled in dining. And then we had this chaotic week, and I just felt out of control. Like no grasp on anything, no handle. And I just said, we're done. Let's Thursday. I remember it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We banged it out. Friday, we were like, Friday. We did, what was it? Oh yeah. So we closed Friday, and then Saturday we were like, you know what? We're giving out free food to the community. Whoever wants it can come and get it. That's it. So that's what we did. We closed and we took time and took a couple steps back and be like, all right, what can we do? What can we fix? So we retiled we just fixed the restaurant, right? Something that I could have control on, that I could see a finished product, and so that's what I did. And during these past 2 weeks, I really, really took a step back because I wanted to reanalyze. I don't like going into a fight unprepared. So I had to reanalyze everything and see what was going on. And I took a step back to see how we're going to make it better and safer. Right? This is Kieran.
What's up, dude?
Can you say hi? No.
Dad does the talking.
But yeah, that's kind of what we did. That's kind of what we had to do, is that we reassessed. And now that we've been able to do that, in between those 2 weeks and renovating the kitchen, we definitely helped out quite a bit. Like we partnered up with Frontline PDX, Frontline Foods, which is kind of attached. I think it's loosely attached to Jose Andres' World, the World Kitchen, and we fed a bunch of hospital workers, which was great. We were helping out small on a very, very small scale right now, like some families, just getting some food to them. We're now slowly opening up larger catering, so to like, hey, just picking up, okay, produce 55 meals, 60 meals for these people. But now we're reassessing, be like, all right, let's see what we can do to reopen. So our plan is that we're hopefully going to be reopening within the next week or two. And kind of my dream, which I still have like a couple days to figure out the entire process, is that I want to do meal for a meal. So for every meal purchased, I want to be able to then take some of that money that we get from that meal to pay my guys, one, take care of the fam, obviously. See if we have a little bit left over to kind of pay rent, but take some of that money too to be able to create a meal for our frontline workers, for hospitals, for free. So basically, if you buy a meal, part of that's going to pay it forward for another meal, basically. I'm gonna try. I haven't hammered out all the details yet, which I'm still working on. Because I know there are a lot of people out there that I have friends that are doing up in Seattle. I have friends that are doing community kitchen, which is great. Donation. They have a big community. That's amazing. Or they got grants to do food solely for those people. But I don't have any of that. All I have is the leftover capital that I have from the last couple dinner shifts, and I'm running on fumes, but I got to do what I got to do. And if this is the way to do it, then so be it,
Yeah. Carlo, a couple things to unpack with what you just said. One, your people are so important to you. That was clear in every single interaction, every single conversation, every time, we have communicated, that has been clear at the forefront. Yeah. And so I really want to talk about them, and I want to get to them because I want to end on a really positive, energetic note. And I know your people are so important to you. I want to touch though on, the fact that this is so emotionally draining for you.
Yeah.
The fact that, I want to touch on this a little bit, and we could rant for hours and hours and hours, but talked a little bit about how there's different disaster loans and you're not getting any of those. PPP is on hold for you. You're not getting that because $349 billion is gone in 8 days. These are heavy things, yet all that shit going down in your life, in your business, in your community, with your family, yet you are still saying, we want to do a meal for a meal. That's, dude, I can't stress enough. That is why the hospitality industry is so important. Yeah. It's because your mentality is not to take care of yourself, it's to take care of others. And you don't have any money left to be messing around with, yet you're still going to find a way to feed frontliners by somebody buying one meal at a nothing margin. So amazing, dude, kudos to you. But touch on that a little bit, how hard it is to try and navigate the space right now when your restaurant lives paycheck to paycheck, just like so many of us do.
Which is we I think as I've grown older, it's a terrible way to live. It's a hard way to live, but that's the reality of it, right? It's that we live as an owner. A lot of people think, oh, you're making in big bucks because you have a restaurant, and that's not true. Because as an owner, you're the first person to cut their paycheck, just to make sure that everybody gets paid. But like I said, and which I try to say is general attitude, especially for these little dudes, is to stay positive. That's all I can do. And the meal for a meal thing is better for me in a sense where just a sense of community, a sense of help. How can I do that? what's the best way for me to be able to do that, and that's the only way to do it. That's the only way I know how to do it. I'm not good at anything else, man. No, don't ask me to create an antibody, but like I can give you a bowl of ramen or like a bowl of adobo. I can definitely do that, you know. But yeah, man, I just finding my place in the community and finding my ability to do it is very important. And you're right, to take care of my people, to take care of my community is within my control. And if that's the only thing I can control right now, then so be it, you know?
Yeah, I really love that. And honestly, you know what? A bowl of chicken adobo and rice sounds as healing as any vaccine I could ever imagine. That sounds like the single most healing thing that I could ever imagine. We had Edelyn Garcia on yesterday, who was born on the island, and she's a sous chef at the Village Pub in Woodside, California. And before we got on, I was like, talk to me about like, Filipino and being Filipino and seeing some opportunities to bring that food in the culture. And she was like, well, like I just do like really simple stuff like chicken adobo. I was like, what? Do not say just chicken adobo.
Yeah.
Like, do not downplay that. So anyway, I'm just like fired up when I hear you say chicken adobo. I was like, I would, if you said vaccine or chicken adobo, I might take the chicken adobo, man. I love it. All right, so you threw some numbers at me with the amount of people looking for support and funding. Just throw a couple of those out there. And again, I don't want to get too in the weeds for people, but
I mean,
the impact of it was immense.
It's as simple as this. It may seem like small numbers in the grand scheme of things, but when you're in a small city like Portland, it's big numbers, right? So, for example, one of the grants that was out there, available was like, I think 2 million was the initial. I think it was. Yeah, I think 1 or 2 million. Out of that, 11,000 applicants. They went, they vetted out like, I think 1,000 or 2,000. So it dropped down to like 9,000 actual viable applications out of those 9,000. So it went from 11 to 9 to, I think 210 grants were awarded. Same thing, same numbers were happened when they released, instead of the grant, they released the loan. So the loan went from 9,000 to 30 or 8,000 to 30 viable loans.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's tough. It's crazy because the fact that there's an opportunity to get it is a positive. Yet also you're investing so much time and energy and going through line item by line item and bullet point and expectation and lack of clarity and all these different things to have an opportunity to take care of your people, take care of your family, and then you're just shit out of luck. Like it's just a challenge.
It really pisses me off because so you hear the government releasing all these like, oh, we're going to release 2 point whatever trillion or whatever into the economy. Guess what, dude? The PPP loan, like literally the lender that I'm going through just finished their online application format. So they finally released their online application. They actually, you know what? They haven't even released it out to the public yet. They only released it to their clients. And guess what? Like last night, he was like, finish the application tonight. We'll get it in. Guess what he texted me today? He's like, everything's on freeze, on hold. Nothing heard from the disaster loan. Everybody got a vague email from the SBA disaster loan. They're like, oh, if your application's complete. It's like, I already applied though. Okay, done. Any other grants I got? Done. Anything I get? Done. Like so you can't rely. And this just goes back to my mentality of you can't rely on anybody out there except for yourself. You have to create your own hustle, which at a time like this is ridiculous. When you have to create that, where your government's supposed to be helping the people, they're just helping their big corporations, man. They're getting bigger tax breaks, they're getting bigger loans, they're getting all this bullshit, and I'm just like, here we are, the death of a small economy.
Yeah. And still, you're thinking about how you can do a meal for a meal. Again, I can't reiterate that enough. Are the bigger companies thinking about that? Doubtful. I mentioned like Ruth Chris got $20 million of money, and I know
Why?
Your blood pressure is about to go up. I know, but it's just crazy when it's like you need this so much and your community needs this so much and you are a pillar of that community, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, I don't want to dog on Ruth Chris, and I apologize to the amazing people that I'm sure work within Ruth Chris. I bet they have awesome dishwashers, line cooks, all of that. That being said, you know, was Ruth Chris one of the 60 chefs that met up in your community
Yeah,
to
exactly.
talk about what's happening? It's doubtful.
No, I mean, look, man, I understand how, you know, I think we all understand how a restaurant runs and how many employees come into work every day to get a paycheck. But at the end of the day, it's not them that they're looking for, dude. It's not. They're not trying to cover their backs, you know, or they're not trying to cover the employees' backs. Guarantee they laid everybody off without blinking an eyelash. Yeah, they gave the I'm sorry guys, I have to lay you off speech. Were there tears shed? You know, as an owner, like when I told my guys that I couldn't pay them anymore, I shed tears, dude. Like I felt a gut wrench, and that is across the board on all the independent restaurant owners here that I've talked to. That are friends of mine. Same thing. It's like the most gut wrenching thing. You know, day in, day out, I'm next to my guys. I'm a small restaurant. There's only 8 of us, right? And day in, day out, I'm next to these guys, listening to their problems, asking how their families are doing, how they're doing, how everything's doing. They essentially become part of my family. And it's crazy to think that you have to tell them, like, I can't help you anymore.
Yeah, man.
So what do you do? Like, so that's when you know, for me, it's that defense mechanism. It's like self-defense, right? I've trained myself for a long time to be able to adapt, to go with the flow, to really adapt to situations because you have to. So what did I do? Like, through any ego, any like inhibition, out the fucking door, man. Screw it. GoFundMe, absolutely. Everyone else doing it, let's do this, you know. And I raised enough money to give those guys at least, you know, another month's rent, you know, which is great. GoFundMe. I was unabashed about like everything. I was like, whatever money comes in, we'll take a little bit just to make sure that we can keep the doors open and we can keep cooking. The rest goes to you guys. Go for it. Like, I'm gonna pay you guys. Screw it. You want to hustle the system? Let's hustle the system. Get unemployment. I'll pay you under the table. I don't give a shit. Like, that's the hustle that we have to create for ourselves now. Because why? Oh, you're cheating unemployment. Well, fuck you. Sorry, pardon my French, but like, seriously, stimulus check, $1,200. They're talking about shutting down the economy until July.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's a blip. $1,200 gets me barely by, right? Oh yeah, let's see the $600 influx on unemployment. All right, let's see it. I have a guy right now who's getting $170 on unemployment because we opened in August, right? He was a student. He was a student, just graduated, came on board with us in August, and that's the only time he's been working, and nothing. You know, nothing. I mean, how do you live off $170 a week? I can make it happen. You know, I've lived on less, but I was also living with my parents. You know, I was also relying on a lot of other people, my community, to help me. So that's what we're trying to do, man. Is the same thing. And you know what? For me personally, I have the best fucking team, and I'll keep them close to my heart, and I will help them. You know, I'll fall on the sword for them. You know, and that's what we have to do for each other, is be willing to take that bullet. You know.
Yeah, and that's true. When you say that, that's not just something that you say. I know that is 100% runs through your veins and super important. The hustler mentality. This is the interesting thing coming out of this, is that we're getting stripped away from all of our kitchen equipment and our dining rooms and the lighting and the sound and all these different things. And it's becoming very, very simple. And it's a struggle and a challenge. Yet now we're saying, how do we really take care of our people, our community, because we have nothing else. The restaurant doesn't exist for us to like stay busy. And so I'm very interested in that hustler mentality. When you're talking to your team, when you're talking to your guys in the kitchen right now through all of this, you know, what's their attitude like? Do they have that same kind of like hustler mentality? We're gonna figure it out. Like, chef, let me know. I'm ready to cook whenever you need me.
That's how it's always been, dude. Like there's a reason why my team's been together for so long. Like, I have a guy who's been with me for 10 years. Roberto is an amazing individual, and he, whenever I'm out of the kitchen, I expect him to lead. I got guys who've been with me for 5 years, 5 6 years, Kevin and Dante, and I mean, we trained them, so it's the same mentality. And then that student kid Lester, he's the one who helped me retile. So his dad works in construction, and he's done construction. So him and I have been in the restaurant for the past 2 weeks, like socially distanced, but like we're tiling together. Like he's like, let's do this, man. All my guys have the same attitude, and that attitude is, how are we going to make this restaurant survive? This is not just it's not just my restaurant, it is everybody's restaurant, and they know that, and they feel that. Like one guy's like, he just called me the other day, Kevin, and he's like, look, chef, I can work part-time. You don't have to pay me all that much. I got another job right now. But just so that we can keep these doors open, man. I was like, all right, cool. Let's do this.
How do you even put words to the character of somebody like that? And there's thousands of them. We call them unsung hospitality heroes.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because that's the thing, you and I have talked about, and we have a hashtag, and like we put people, that second voice, on our shows, and it's something we've done. Yet it didn't even dawn on me how heroic these fucking humans are that are willing to be like, hey man, if I can help you and just cook and have a little time for that therapy and that camaraderie, you don't even have to pay me that much. Like, how do you not start crying when somebody that is making $212 on unemployment and has ridiculous amounts of back bills and stuff is willing to do that? Like, how do you even put words to that?
You can't, man. You don't. You can't find that every day, and I lucked out, and I found 8 people, I found 8 people with the same exact mentality going in on it, and all of them, from my front of the house staff, Joyce, B, to the back of the house guys, all of them, like Josue, I got a 16-year-old kid, Charlie. He's my buddy's son, and he's so eager to learn how to cook, man. And like he messages me on Instagram, dude, and he's like, he's like, chef, what can I do in this time to learn? I texted him. I was like, all right, learn how to truss a chicken, glaze carrots, and make mashed potatoes. There's your first project. Yes. He goes, done. Sent me the pictures that he made. I was like, all right, your truss chicken is wrong. Your mashed, I'm still yelling, right, through Instagram. Your mashed potatoes look dry, needs more butter, but like he's like, yeah, I kind of gathered that. So how can I improve that? And like, it's an ongoing lesson. Now I'm talking to him like I'm like, all right, dude, let's go on live video and start learning, man. And so it's like, gotta keep helping in any way, shape, or form, whether it's through monetary or through the knowledge that I can pass on. Anything I can do, I'm gonna help, But they're all good dudes, man.
I love 2 things that you just said. One, I think if you start training from a distance, it's going to make you a better teacher as a chef. Like, what a challenge it is to like not be able to touch it, put your hands on it, and get in there and like manipulate it and still try to like teach. I think I'm very interested in that all of a sudden. I think that's something we need to be doing for sure.
Yeah.
And then to the point of like the mental health aspect, and not this like heavy thing, but just like to feel like you're still bringing value to the thing that you care about. And so, that the fact that he gets to truss a chicken probably is the greatest therapy that you could ever imagine as a cook. And getting yelled at by a chef, being like, all right, more butter. Let's make sure that you
Instagram
properly, starting to break, all those things. Like, I bet he loves it.
Oh, dude. I mean, like I said, it's over 20 years of experience pays off, because like the fact that I can tell that a chick, oh, hey, you should do this, and this just by a picture means that, hey, there's some training involved, and the fact that made me feel good to a sense, because I know that I have some level of skill still in some way, shape, or form. I'm not just a homeschool teacher now. I can still cook.
Yeah. let's make sure that you keep cooking and not homeschool teaching. You and me talked about it. We are not built to be teachers in that way. Isn't that strange?
Bro,
How
I had a full head of hair before that. No, I'm just kidding.
it's so funny. It's our sons getting them to think about how they learn. And honestly, you're going to look back at this and start implementing certain ways that you teach in the kitchen that you recognize from teaching your sons. That also be like, oh, now I understand. Because here's the thing. Your sons don't want to learn what you have to teach a lot of times. And sometimes cooks don't either. That's the breakthrough right there.
To say, it's going to be the other way around. I'm going to start implementing my kitchen ways into my kids. Like, old school Carlo. It's gonna come out. It's pretty.
I like it. You're gonna be going through trusting a chicken when they're doing their A, B's, and C's, man. Same kind of thing. I like that mentality.
Oh my God.
And so you're gonna be opening back up. I shared a link to make sure that people get connected. And when you're thinking about that now, and you're thinking about reopening, and you understand, you went in and just tried to like pivot and it doesn't work. I think a lot of people that closed and then thought about it and reopened and kind of focused it have done a little bit better, and the people that build community. So I know that you're going to do well from that respect. When you're thinking about specifically the food, what are the things now you're like, I can't do everything. We have to simplify it. We have to focus it. What are the food items? Adobo chicken for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Back to basics, bro. It's like, so the whole point, the whole reason why I started the restaurant is because we want to elevate Filipino food, and we can still do that in this type of setting, solely based on technique, right? So bringing it back to basics, bringing that homeschool type of food, like the home, really comfort food, Filipino style. But like a buddy of mine always used to say, one of my business partners, Mark, he was like, old school flavor, new school style, man. It's like, it's bringing that traditional flavor still there, but just a little bit more appealing, and we're going to carry that same mentality. Into it, and that's what we're going to try to do, man, is try to hang on to that. And but yeah, like chicken adobo, pork adobo, like pork barbecue, chicken tinola, which is like Filipino, chicken soup for the soul, rice porridges, all these things, because I have a lot of friends, Filipino chef friends, that are doing this now, and they're doing an amazing job. And they're all along the same track. It's like, okay, this is what we have to do, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we have, is that kind of same kind of mentality, So yeah, we're hoping.
Dude, I love it. When you talk about food, your energy completely changes, man. That's the most important thing. When I talked about like the mental health stuff, it's this. Like, thinking about PPP sucks your fucking soul right through your eyeballs. Like, it's the worst thing you could ever imagine. It's such an inhumane process. It may have value, and it does support some people. Absolutely. Don't want to diminish that. But it is inhumane. In an industry full of people that need the interaction, we have to rub elbows with people. We have to be shoulder to shoulder. It's part of the way that we communicate and interact. And so this is it. When you're thinking about PPP and loans and disaster and blah, 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 you want to gouge your eyes out.
Oh, yeah.
Yet when you talk about chicken adobo, you could not be happier. There's not a single moment. Like, feeding your boys chicken adobo has to be the greatest thing you'll ever do in your life.
Oh, man. If there's any way that, if there was any way that I could just, like, take, if there's any way I could monetize making these dishes, I would. No, dude, like that's the whole reason we get into cooking in the first place, man, is exactly this. It's the aim to please, Food is not about ego. Food is soul driven, should be theoretically soul driven. There is a lot of ego out there, which is fine. Myself included, you try to kind of put your stamp on it, but at the end of the day, man, it's about soul satisfaction, It's about putting a smile on somebody's face when you're feeding them, or even just talking about food. Many conversations have been had, many talks, many speaking engagements, and when you just start talking about like the food part, that's where people start smiling.
That's it, man. It's why I'm doing this. Selfishly, I just got high from you talking about chicken adobo. Like, I could never, without your energy, because it is so pure and in you that like I am siphoning that energy. So thank you for me personally. And just for others, like I want to be able to do two things. I want to have real conversations about shit is crazy right now. There's no doubt about it. And I want us to be able to talk about that because we just can't let it bottle us up. And then I want to flip right away to talk about the Kevins of the world and talk about chicken adobo, because like that's what's going to bring us joy. That is what's going to get us through it. It's who's going to get us through it. It's why we're going to actually come out of this bigger, better, faster, stronger for having gone through this adversity, because it's what's going to shape us. And you see, again, you going directly to kindness, to I don't have money. My people are barely getting by. Yet if I say, hey, we're going to take the slim margins that we have and find a way to also feed frontliners, they'll be right there with you without 1 second of hesitation. And that's what I think really matters.
And that is all that matters, man. At the end of the day, like you said, all this negative bullshit it wears on you. It has a physical toll on you. So if there's any one important thing at this very moment in time, is that mental health is probably the most important thing. To make sure people that you are staying sane, that you can keep yourself safe. That's the most important. And if you can do that, perfect. It's what ways are you taking care of yourself? Drinking, sure, every once in a while. Like, I know a lot of people are driving with Starbucks and booze, but like that's great. Like I love a good drink myself, but like at some point that's not gonna help anymore. How are you gonna better yourself? In this time of honestly enforced self-reflection, right? That's what it is. It's I look at it this way. You're a family man, you know this. I never get to spend a lot of time with my kids, and now I've got all this time in the world, and now I'm like, how can I make their lives better? Have all these projects around the house. Shit, man, I just finished a bunch of shit that I've been saying I was going to finish for the past couple of years. I've been working out more. I've been training here in my backyard. It's like, those are the small things that I could do. Even if you're in a small apartment, man, draw, pick up a paintbrush, do something you've never done before. The bane and boon of technology is at our fingertips, right? So try to forego any of the bad stuff and try to use technology for your own purposes. Learn a new language, learn how to play the guitar, learn how to play music, or do research on something. Read up on things that you've been wanting to read up on. That's what you gotta do, man. Like in this time of need, cook. Learn how to cook. You don't know how to cook, learn how to cook, dude.
Please cook.
Yeah.
We always have some playlist items, and I like that you segued right into that. Smooth. What I specifically was interested in is being somebody who's trained martial arts in multiple disciplines for a big chunk of your life, and clearly it's something that keeps you grounded today, I know, heavily. Give us a couple maybe YouTube channels or a couple of spots that people could check out some of those disciplines and maybe get inspired and maybe even start their own journey with martial arts.
It's funny. I've been seeing a lot of my friends who are also fellow arnisadores, the guys that I train with. They're starting to put out instructional videos. So if you just Google things like on YouTube, just search like basic arnis.
Tell me how to spell that again, because I want to link something up.
Oh yeah. Arnis, ARNIS. They could specifically look for Leskas, LESKAS. If they combine those two, Leskas, Arnis, Basics, there are a bunch of videos that'll pop up, and that they could start practice swinging a stick around, or I mean, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is huge now, and there are a lot of like solo exercises that you can do to kind of, if you have never done it before, you can familiarize yourself with. It's a quick YouTube search, man. But like, there's a little bit of everything out there for everybody. I myself have like videos of my old matches on YouTube and things like that, and you could always check them out. And I'm sure there's some goofy videos somewhere out there about whatever. But
awesome. Oh, now I'm gonna Google that right now and link it up. I gotta find some videos of Carlo doing
just look up like Carlo Lamagna, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or whatever. Something will come up. But yeah, man. I mean, it keeps me sane. And honestly, the cooking part still keeps me sane. So like, Yeah, man, those are the things that I do. Like every morning, I ended up putting this little thing in my backyard. Like I have some mats that were sitting in my basement. I brought them outside because it's beautiful out. Hung up my old exercise equipment. You know, I had a bunch of stuff that was going unused in the basement because, like, when did I have the time or the energy? But now I am. So it's pretty fun.
I love it, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Love the sincerity that you always have and the give a shit that you have for your people, for your culture, for your community. That's what we're going to need. It's that kind of reflective leadership that we're going to need, you know? So I'm grateful, man. It's so good to see you. Now go homeschool. Go teach those boys how to read and trust a chicken. See if you can bring those two things together, my friend.
How to lose more hair. Heard. I love you, buddy.
All right, brother. Be good. Take care.
All right. Take it easy.
Yes, Carlo Lamagna, Magna Kusina in Portland. Just, I don't need to tell you. If you watch this, that is a good dude. That is a great chef. He has built a family, a community, sharing his heritage and his culture, and being on the vanguard of that, bringing that to the American zeitgeist of culinary. And just love talking to him. His energy is great. And it's always real, you know, like he is so frustrated, and so many are frustrated, unbelievably frustrated. I get texts and DMs and messages all day about, have you seen this? What the hell's going on with this? What do we do with that? And it's just, I don't know the answers to that. I just try to be a sounding board for people to be able to talk to me and share stories. And so I'm grateful for that. And, you know, Carlo, it's rough. It's rough when you're trying to just get a couple more bucks to support your team. And then again, like everything going on, every reason to just say, fuck it. Like, I'm going to bury my head in the sand, or I got to take care of me and mine, yet still thinking about a meal to feed frontliners. You cannot teach that, to care that much about others in any time, let alone a time like this. So I'm grateful. All right, tune back in. What time is it? Oh, we're coming up quick. Tune back in like 15 minutes. We're going to be on with Steve and Jamie from the Storm Cellar in Hotchkiss. We're going to talk wine. We're going to taste some wine. Also, a special guest, Jeremy Holloway, who actually gave them a shout out. And we got them on the show, so I got him as well on to taste some wine. He's a sommelier at Mercantile Dining and Provision in Denver, Colorado. So we're going to have 4 of us on talking wine, talking virtual wine tasting, something they did very early on. And I'm very interested in how that's going for them. So tune back in for that. Tomorrow, I have Nelson Perkins, icon in the Denver scene. He just recently shut down his restaurants that had been there for over 10 years in Denver, really at the forefront of kind of the progressive food scene in Denver. Nelson Perkins, formerly Colt and Gray, was his iconic restaurant here. So we're going to talk tomorrow. I'm very excited to see his perspective on all his time in the industry, and then kind of having a little bit of an outside perspective since he's shut down on what's happening just today and what happens coming out of this for the hospitality industry. Thank you, as always. All right. I'll check in with you guys in a little bit.